Okay, I hear you, my friends. You would like to know which tanks, which nations are the best in the Steel Hunter 2020 special game mode. And in this video, in this episode, I am going to let you know everything you need to know, everything you want to know about this game mode, which tanks are the best, which tanks are the easiest to win with, how you are able to complete this event a lot faster, basically. All of this is based on my experience, my personal opinion about every single vehicle, every single nation, and my experience with this mode comes from all the way back to the alpha testing, then beta testing, then sandbox server, then test server, and now over here. And we have had previous seasons with the Steel Hunter mode as well. And yesterday, for example, I was able to complete this entire event, this stage. I mean, we have to wait 1 month for the next stage. In one sitting, in basically 4 to 5 hours, you are able to complete this entire thing up to level 15. I have at the moment, I think I have 13 wins. My best streak, by the way, was out of 8 battles, 6 wins. This was at the start of the event. It was actually quite crazy. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive right into the action. I do not want to make this episode too long. And by the way, actually, if you do not have too much time to watch today's episode, thank you for tuning in, thank you for clicking in. Anyway, I am going to let you know right now which tanks are the best, but if you want to know why and how exactly you should play with those vehicles to bring victory after victory into your garage, then watch this episode. But the best tanks, in my opinion, are Americans. By far the best, in my opinion. Then the British vehicle is right after that. Then the Soviet tank is right after that. The German one is also really strong, but it is the most boring class to play, in my opinion, and it is a bit consumable dependent. You need the turbocharger to do really good, and the end zone basically many times decides if you're going to win or lose, because so many other vehicles are able to outmaneuver you. And finally, the funniest tank, absolutely the funnest tank to play with at the same time is kinda the weakest as well, the French one. Well, it is not weak. I have been able to win with every single gun option on this French tank as well. I have been able to do that, but it is even more end zone and end vehicle 1 versus 1 vehicle dependent tank than the German one. Just my opinion, according to my experience. If you love any of those vehicles, feel free to do that, but this is my top 5. USA, British, Soviet, German, and French vehicle. There you go, thank you for tuning in, but now let's go over vehicle by vehicle, and let's start with the German tank. Max von Hoffmann is the commander with a designated target and intuition perk. Intuition basically makes your shell switching like you do not lose reload time, and the designated target makes targets visible for 2 extra seconds. In my opinion, 2 most useless skills to have on any commander in this game mode. Many times I simply forget to use the designated target as well, and it doesn't help you too much, and the intuition really doesn't help you. Adrenaline Rush, for example, would be awesome. Talking about consumables, it comes with turbocharger, which is very, very strong consumable, and it comes with additional repair zone, which is going to heal you even if you receive damage. So you can, in staying in the repair zone, you are going to be healed continuously, removes the stun effect as well, and restores hit points in the next 14 seconds. Recovery, for example, as we all know, if you get shot, it is going to cancel your heal. So I said this tank is very consumable dependent, and yes, indeed, you do not have that crazy of a DPM as many other tanks do. You do not have that crazy of a gun handling, mobility, especially towards the end game. So to keep up with all the faster vehicles, you either need to out-heal their damage using the recovery. You must have some recoveries, you must have a repair zone to out-heal the damage they do to you, or you have to keep up with their mobility using turbocharger. If you do not have turbocharger at the end of the game or in the fights, many times you are simply going to be circled to death. I am talking while I'm talking that from my own experience playing with the German tank and playing against it. For example, if I'm playing with basically in any tank, I'm able to outmaneuver. I do not have any problems killing other Valkyrs myself. while playing in a faster tank, especially if I have the mobility build on those vehicles. And I would really say for me personally, the Valkyrie is by far the least exciting, the most boring vehicle to play with. You go heavy armor, you wait for the end zone, and you try to win the 1v1 fight, you just try to out-heal them. So all in all, the German one hits really hard, moves slowly, has a lot of armor or hit points, but if you are going to be caught out in the open, almost any tank can circle you to death. At least so far, I have not seen any situations where I run into problems circling a German vehicle to death. It is still decent tank, you are able to win with it, but it is not that dominating anymore as on the test server, because on the test server, German one was by far the strongest tank in this game mode. So how to play with it? Many times I am avoiding open fights, open positions, because this is when usually people push the German tanks into 1v2 fights, and you really do not want to fight 1v2 fights. So be aware of your surroundings, avoid open areas, and this is how I have been able to win with German ones as well quite easily. Anyway, next up, let's talk about the French one. The funnest vehicle to play, the funnest builds you're able to build in this vehicle, but it can bite you in the arse as well at the end. So this commander comes with Eagle Eye perk, which shows what is broken on the enemy vehicle. It can be useful actually, and Dead Eye as well increases the chance to cause damage to the enemy vehicle modules and crew. So simply modules actually. Talking about consumables, there is one really good consumable and one kind of meh consumable. This fireball is actually the ultimate consumable, so-called, I don't know, under number 6, you know. It is just a distraction, basically, distraction-based consumable, but the airstrike is actually really good if you use that correctly, in the correct situations. For example, if you track enemy vehicle and you see that they use the repair kit to get rid of the tracking, then apply the airstrike. You want to apply airstrike after they use the repairing consumable, because it actually removes the stun as well, and you want to hold them stunned for as long as possible, so then you are able to circle them to death. But the starting battle, in the start of the battle, in the start of the gameplay action with this tank, you really do not want to get into 1v1 fights, because any other vehicle is able to simply destroy you, because you do not have hit points, you do not have that DPM, all you have is speed. Just try to gather as many resources, as many points, as much experience as possible, and I would say look for the first fights starting from level 4, when you have either the mobility or the top speed build. Both really work actually. I have been able to win with both. Both work, just pick your whatever you like more. Sometimes I go with the top speed, sometimes I go with the mobility. Mobility one actually helps circling targets more, acceleration is better and so on, climbing is better. But the top speed one helps you to outrun enemies, for example. And using the airstrike, you're able to win 1v1 fights quite easily as well, even in the late game, distracting them with the fireball and so on. So just avoid fights at the start, because you lose every single 1v1 fight, unless you are very confident with your skills and you are able to outplay enemy vehicles. For example, I have been able to do that a couple times. At first I see the target, I snipe at the target, take off like 2, 3, 4 shots of the HP, and then I'm going to chase them down, because now I know I have more hit points and I'm able to take them out. Now the upgrades, as I said, you can go with the mobility build, you can go with the top speed build, you have some armor options, some hit points options. Actually armor, just forget about the armor, you can either choose between AMX 1357's hull or the Badget's hull. Badget hull just gives you some more hit points, everything is able to penetrate you anyway with the standard rounds, with the higher alpha damage rounds, and the final gun options are very, very fun. Anti-tank machine gun, basically machine gun Kelly. 10 shells in the magazine, 0.5 second reload time between shots. It is literally like a machine gun, and this is what makes this tank so fun, together with the HE shell damage. I have been able to win with both guns, they both work. They improved this HE shell gun actually a lot, giving it a lot more penetration with the more penetration round, but you lose alpha damage than on the test server, for example. And I have been able to penetrate targets in the arse as well, into the boopers. So they improved it a lot, but still, at the end of the day, it comes down to the final zone, it comes down to the final tanks, how many consumables they have still alive, still left, and if you get yourself into trap or not. For example, you are not able to win 1 versus 1 fight if Raven has the trap zone available in extremely tunnely final zone, because Raven is simply able to out-TPM you. It doesn't matter what you do, what type of consumables you use. There are just some situations what you are not able to win, unless enemy vehicle makes mistake, of course. But by far the most fun vehicle to play with, and very interesting playstyle. I like to see that every single tank, well, not every single tank, but we have tanks which play differently. For example, this tank plays so differently compared to the German one or compared to the UK American one. This tank, different playstyle, be extremely careful at the start of the battle and more aggressive. Try to be the third guy in the fights all the time. Look for those type of fights, and you are able to bring the trophy home. Very, very fun vehicle to play with. Moving on to the Soviet one, yesterday I already showed you one battle, my first battle actually this season as well, which was a victory, played live with the Soviet tank. It is very solid. Now, talking about consumable, it has one very strong consumable, minefield. This deploys an active minefield in the selected area for 20 seconds. Enemies can destroy your mines by shooting them at the same time, yes, but if they do not notice it, because in the heat of a battle it is sometimes very hard to notice, depends on the placement as well, you can turn fights around with this consumable. I have done that many times, and I have been trapped by many Soviet vehicles myself as well, with very nicely placed minefields, and I basically got killed where if I played more carefully, I should have been able to win the fight. Now, this is very good if used correctly. It basically kills the chances for enemy vehicles to completely circle you to death. You just minefield one part of the fight and you focus to the other side, or you try to trap them into your minefield, because they can be hit multiple times. The second is recovery zone. For 7 seconds it creates an area around the vehicle, not a stationary area. Within this area, both players and platoon members restore a certain percentage of their vehicle hit points for 7 seconds. So it just helps your survivability. It is more of a survivability type of vehicle. So far I have played 3 battles with this Soviet vehicle, Varyak. And in every single battle I have used different end gun setup, loading speed, double gun, or the alpha damage, and I have been able to win all 3 battles with different setups. So you are able to do that, just maybe you need to be lucky, you need some RNG to be on your side, and you are able to win. So far 100% win ratio with this vehicle after 3 battles and using different setups every single time. It is just solid, very, very solid. It has some armor, it has some mobility. I like it, and it is not very hard vehicle to win in. I would say, in my personal opinion, Valkyr is a bit harder tank to win in, because this tank this tank can handle more endgame situations, if you know what I mean. Now, moving on into the British vehicle, Harbinger Mark IV. Very, very awesome tank. High penetration, high standard penetration, so at the end game you can easily use standard rounds to bring the W home. And the battle I was recording, I tried to record the battle with every single nation for you on the background as well, and guess what? We are going to walk away with a little victory. So commander skills are also very good. Snapshot and smooth ride help this accuracy quite a lot while moving, while rotating your turret. Talking about consumables, at first I really thought the corrosive mist consumable is kinda weak, kinda meh. I didn't even bother using it too many times, but the more I looked into it, the more I tested it, the more I respect it. It especially comes useful if someone is hiding you. You would like to hide the sniper while you are running away. Boom, just lay that corrosive mist on the top of them. They are hidden, they cannot see you anymore, they take damage. It is very useful when you are a third wheel in the fight, you are the third guy in the fight, and you lay that smoke on both targets who are fighting with each other, and you can easily pick up the double supply drop by killing them, by killing both of them actually. And very useful. It is actually dealing a lot of damage. It ticks off every second basically. If you lay it in one versus one fight, for example, even if you lay it on an enemy and if you keep them tracked over there, it is so effective if you can keep them tracked and deal damage at the same time with the tracking shot, plus they are in the corrosive mist. So situational, if you know how to use it, if it works, it is just actually very, very devastating. And now the second thing under the button number 6 is very awesome. Berserker significantly boosts your vehicle characteristics and penetration, but deducts the hit points of your vehicles for 20 seconds. Yes, you are losing hit points slightly in the rampage mode, in the Berserker mode, but the DPM increasement, ooh boy, you can rip enemy tanks into pieces with this, and especially if you are sniping someone, oh boy. The DPM, that penetration, this helps so much, and there is not a single 1 versus 1 fight you can actually lose with this unless you bounce half of your shots actually. So super solid DPM build. Most of the times I'm going full mobility and the DPM build. I have not used auto reloader once because that DPM build is just way too efficient. Going full mobility, or sometimes taking some armor on the hull if I feel like it, just testing out different things, but usually going for the top speed build as well. Harbinger, very nice and quite an easy to win in actually. But now let's talk about what in my opinion is the strongest vehicle in this game mode, Raven, the American Steel Hunter tank. On the test server, believe it or not, but this tank was actually one of the weakest. So they made this tank being the weakest, one of the weakest, up to being the best, in my opinion, according to my experience. Once again, I have to state that. If you do not agree with me, feel free not to agree with me. Just talking about my own experience. But I really do think this is the best. Commander skills are really useful once again. Snapshot and smooth ride. Very nice. Consumables, oh boy. Where to start? Target tracking, when in use, reduces gun dispersion, improves gun stabilization, and reduces aiming time for 20 seconds. There is one thing they do not mention it over here. It actually boosts your DPM as well. It makes your reload time faster. It really does. For example, in the clip on the background, you can see when I'm fighting versus that VK or versus that German vehicle, my reload time before activating it was 4.3 seconds, and it is going to be lowered down to 3 seconds. So your DPM is faster, your accuracy is faster, gun handling is just the best in this game mode. And now when you combine his consumable with the absolute strongest, the most overpowered, the best consumable in this game mode, which is trap, there is not a single 1 versus 1 fight you should lose. If you lose, you had to do something very wrong. Or the other vehicle simply was so much more upgraded. Let's say you are fighting versus level 7 vehicle with level 4 vehicle. It's understandable, okay. But if same level, you shouldn't lose any 1 versus 1 fights. I don't know, I haven't tested it out, but maybe this combination can actually win 1 versus 2 fights as well. I don't know, it is so strong. Trap basically kills 50% of the dynamic characteristics of the enemy vehicle, but it really feels so much stronger. It really feels that it is going to do so much more, like 80% of the mobility. Especially when I have been trapped in my German vehicle, for example, with the enemy, Raven's trap, I really think my rotation speed is like 1 degree per second or something like that. It is so slow, it feels so painfully slow, and whenever Raven traps me out in the open, is able to circle me to death, I am just like, okay, I'm raising my hands and GG, it is a GG. Because there actually is nothing you can do when you're in a slow heavy tank versus Raven. This TPM, this trap combination is just the best combination in this game mode, and it is so strong. It is weird that the target tracking doesn't say it is boosting your TPM as well, even though it does. It is one of the most important things it does actually, besides the gun handling as well, but maybe they simply forgot about it. Who knows? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Raven from zero to hero, in my opinion, is the best vehicle in the Steel Hunter game mode at the moment. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, according to my own experience, performance in this vehicle, it is very, very strong, and my top 5 tanks overall. Let me know what you think about that. You wanted to see me listing all those vehicles, you wanted to know my opinion, so I did that episode just for you. Hopefully it is a bit informative, a bit helpful. Let me know your opinion, let me know which is your favorite and what do you think about this game mode overall after it has been out for 1 day. Have you finished it already? Are you done with it already? Just let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, that is me done. Thank you so much for tuning in. I get you next time with something else. As always, stay awesome, stay sexy, take care and bye.